All right, degenerates. It is your boy, Maxwell motherfucking Spart, aka Jerry Rubenstein, aka the College Basketball Whisperer, aka local pipe fitter's best friend. Well, obviously today's been a much slower day in the world of college basketball, but there's still quite a few things that have started to pop off that I want to talk about. Um, Obviously, I'm starting a couple minutes early, so I'll just wait over here. Just want to also encourage anyone and everyone to eat chicken tenders, eat them with honey on it. Go and find local strippers, whether it be online or at some freaking flea bag motel, and freaking love them. Give them your money. That's what they need. They got an expensive habit, expensive lifestyles, and it's up to us as winning degenerate sports bettors to do our part and support the community. I'll tell you this. Well, my day's been quite interesting. I've had three different strippers online try to lure me into their interactive services that they're offering. But my constant and normal response to some sort of question like that is, well, I'd rather give you my money in a hotel room. So usually, well, during at least COVID-19, they've definitely been less receptive of that approach, while some of them have tried to figure out how they can get money out of me without having to do that. I've had to let them know if I don't have the fluids being extracted, then there's no point in even talking to you. So, all right. So it's 5:30. We're gonna get started here. Obviously, everyone's getting ready for their UFC Wednesday night special. And I'm going to be one of those people also. I got a couple bets on some fights, tailed my guy Matt Mado and my guy, the Sports Keg CEO, and my guy Dave Mannion, aka Dave Betts, England's finest. They will lead me to the winner's window tonight. What's going on, Jimmy? What's going on, Alex? Thank you for coming on in and throwing some noise in that chat. And yeah, let's get right into it. Two big moves on the transfer market today. One being Ray Salvi going over to DePaul from Monmouth. Ray Salvi is a player that I watch a lot during this most recent college basketball season. Monmouth was a team that I enjoyed betting team totals on. They were a very good home team, and they were very good in conference to me. Specifically, that Fairfield game that they played, where Ray Salvi had 34 points. So what I like about Salvi as a player is he understands his limitations. This is a guy that definitely has the ability to shoot from all three levels, but at crunch time, he's the type of guy that's going to take it to the rim and look to get to the free throw line. He had three really standout games where he had double-digit free throw makes, and that was against Rider, Princeton, and Niagara. Obviously, at home, he's going to have some of the better performances of his season, but I do think that he has shown an ability to at least be able to score in mid double digits every game aside from four this past year. Um, when I look at the fit at DePaul, it's kind of troubling for me because I do think that DePaul is putting together a really nice team on paper, but I don't think that they're going to have the continuity and on-court chemistry to be quite successful. I think that you're starting to see a clog up at your shooting guard small forward position, and that's going to mean that you're going to have to rely on a couple guys that are 6'7" and not really have a guy that's really physical, like a guy like Paul Reed, who's not going to be in the lineup next year for DePaul. Right now, it looks like DJ Williams, Ray Salvi, Romeo Weems are the three guys that are probably going to be playing for two starting positions. And of course, if Javon Freeman Liberty can get a waiver, that changes DePaul's outlook greatly. I do think that Ray Salvi, who is a double-digit scorer in the MAC, will not be a double-digit scorer at DePaul. I look for him to be able to give maybe 5 to 8 points a game at most. I expect him to be able to contribute defensively, but the thing is, he will have to adjust to the strength, speed, and skill of the Big East. It is definitely a big step up in competition, and with this DePaul team, it's going to put David DeLeo in a position where he's going to have the option of playing smaller lineups where he can use Jalen Butts or Nicholas Oenga at the 5 position and then run out 4 guards. So it's going to be interesting to see what rotations and how the depth chart works out in the end. But this is definitely a very sought after transfer. And I think that DePaul did a great job of landing him. I just question the fit. So the next big news, which I saved for last, would be the news of Mac McClung. So Mac McClung, yes, we know what happened. He was in the midst of a breakout season this year, and then he suffered that foot injury. He was able to come back in a game against Providence, only lasting 8 minutes before having to pull himself out, and we didn't see him again. So he was only limited to 21 games this entire season. But if you look at the numbers, 15 points per game, 80% from the free throw line, 32% with 1.5 3-point makes a game, is definitely a player that looks like he was ready to take the next step forward. So there was some drama that happened behind the scenes with Mac McClung. So a couple days ago, about 8 days ago, Patrick Ewing went on some publication or TV station and said that Mac would be coming back to school without discussing with Mac and his agent that he was going to do that and out it like that. I think that it showed a level of lack of experience from a coaching perspective by Coach Patrick Ewing. And I also think that he lost the trust of Mac McClung, and I think that is why he's transferring. There were some quotes from him that did give me that impression, and I think that Patrick Ewing has done everything he can to shoot himself in the foot. And when you lose LeBlanc, when you lose Gardner, and then you lose James Akinjo, and then Mac McClung, it's just showing to you that maybe this is not the fit for a beloved Georgetown Hoya. So we'll see what happens, but Mac McClung is now definitely the most sought after transfer on the market. And because of his issues with his foot, he does have a case for a medical waiver. So depending on what the Georgetown program does in regards to supporting this move, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that Patrick Ewing has shown a weakness of connection with his players, and it's great to be a former NBA player that's a coach, but you got to be able to develop these guys. And losing their trust, well, that's definitely a way that you're going to fuck yourself. All right, so moving on, there's just a couple more small moves in college basketball. One of my fellow Torontonians, Ahmad Ali, he's going to be leaving Washington State after a year being injured, and he's going to be looking for a new home as a grad transfer. This is a kid that has the ability to make a lot of threes. He is one of the only Toronto GTA players in the history of prep or high school ball, aside from Denham Brown, that scored over 100 points in a high school game. He made 23 3-point shots. So definitely has the shooting prowess to make an impact. And we did see at Washington State, he had some great games against Stanford, USC, San Diego, Colorado, all games where he was able to get double digits, shoot reasonably from the field, and be effective scoring from the free throw line. But plain and simple, this is a 3-point shooter. This is a guy with ice in his veins, and if he gets to the right spot, look out, because he's going to be making a difference. The Eastern Florida State College alum averaged 17 points per game there, so you know that he can play starter minutes. It's just a matter of getting the right opportunity. So look out for my fellow Torontonian of where he's going to end up landing. And then just a couple moves for McNeese State, losing 2 depth pieces in Sam Baker and Leonard Washington, both who I figured to have larger roles in the backcourt next year. Good free throw shooters, good 3-point shooters, guys that were very efficient at getting to the rim and being able to score high efficient looks at the bucket. So McNeese State definitely has some depth that they're going to have to fill with those 2 losses, but it is what it is. I'm not really seeing any other kind of information on what is really going on there. Okay, so then I'm going to go into the COVID news. So the COVID news is pretty much this: the Junior College Athletic Association is actually lifting their recruiting ban and allowing schools to have in-person visits. Plain and simply, this is because money is tight. There are tons of institutions that are desperate for revenue, and basketball is a big revenue source for a lot of these junior college schools. So this doesn't really surprise me, but it definitely is going to put pressure on some of these other D1, D2 schools or levels really to make a change and do something. Because listen, the fact is, a lot of these schools don't have the bankrolls that Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina have. We saw what happened with the MAC conference. They're down to 8 teams in their conference tournament, no home games. So cost cutting measures are being taken, and I think that this was a smart move by the NJCAA. I think that when you struggle to attract talent and to create revenue because you don't have any TV deal, this is the move that you had to make. I'm really perplexed by where he's going to end up. I have no idea where ends up. I think that if you go close to home, you definitely have some waiver ability. But like I said, with his medical situation, I think that he's going to become one of the guys that gets the lucky waiver. I would think that he continues somewhere maybe in the Big 12 or maybe the ACC. I could definitely see a lot of teams in the ACC going after him, but I definitely think that he stays at a Power Five conference. This is a player that definitely needed one more year in college and then would be ready for the NBA by my estimations. When I look at this Kentucky class, well, my issue is what are they going to do in the front court? If Olivier Sarr doesn't get a waiver, that's a big problem for Kentucky. I think that when you look at Kentucky, this is the worst year for them to have this kind of turnover, and I think that it's going to hurt them at least early on in the season. I don't have Kentucky highly ranked. I do I do understand the allure of this recruiting class. It is very perimeter oriented. But when I look at what's coming back in Keon Brooks, that's it. Davion Mintz, I'm not even sure that he can work his way into the rotation. I think that with Terrence Clark and BJ Boston, these are guys that are going to be counted on to score the basketball, and I don't know if you're going to be able to rely on them from day one. When I look at Isaiah Jackson and Lance Ware, yes, they're highly touted, but I don't think that they have the physicality or the strength to be able to stop a lot of upperclassmen SEC players from getting inside of them and taking advantage of them. Um, I think that Isaiah Jackson definitely needs to put on 20 pounds. I think that Lance Ware may have a little bit of problem with his footwork. I'm not sold on Kentucky yet. If I see Olivier Sarr get eligible, that changes a lot. And then it's really going to come down to what you can expect from guys like Devin Askew. The point guard position is going to be an area of contention for Kentucky all year, and they're going to struggle to have someone running the show to the quality that Ashton Hagans did last year. So Kentucky is definitely a team that I can see having a real off year and falling out of the top 40 altogether. All right. So, only one more little bit of news. And this is just news that I found really interesting, and I just call it real talk. Matt Painter is not happy about Noel Eastern and Matt Arms leaving. It's basically a betrayal. He said it, and I'll quote him like this. It's like the kiss of death when you get that text that says, "Hey coach, you got a minute." You just know he's going to transfer. It isn't hard to figure out. When you've been doing it for 30 years, it's not hard to figure out. Well, I understand this. I understand where Matt Painter is coming from. This is a guy that had to compete. for every bit of playing time that he had as a player. And I think that he is going to be better off in the long run this coming year without Matt Arms and Noel Eastern. I think that Noel Eastern, listen, he's making a mistake. He's leaving without his degree. He's leaving without accomplishing what he's going to accomplish. And the fact is, Matt Arms, he just doesn't work hard enough. You could say the same thing about Noel Eastern. That's why his offensive game hasn't developed. The argument that because he's a very good defender and he can guard all five positions does not buy it for me. Matt Painter had to play and compete with Jim Jackson to get minutes. And you know what? He wasn't going to go blame the coach if he didn't get minutes. And that's what, in essence, I think has happened here. I think that Noel Eastern looked at guys like Caleb Swanigan and Carson Edwards, realized he does not have the skill level or that one unique skill to get to the next level. That's what you need. If you're not dominating college basketball, you shouldn't get all pouty, cross your arms and be like, okay, well, I'm going to freaking punish the program and the coach and all the staff that have worked with me for 3 years. I think that Matt Arms and Noel Eastern have made big mistakes leaving. And the reality is, if you look at what Purdue has in the backcourt, I can see why he would try and play it off like that. When you look at Brandon Newman, we look at Ethan Morton, and you look at Jaden Ivey, these are guys that are going to be able to make an impact this coming year at Purdue. So don't get it twisted. I'm not a big Purdue fan, but I am a big fan when it comes to loyalty. And I said it over and over again. The dude couldn't play with Trevion Williams. He couldn't beat him for minutes. He didn't contribute better production. So, listen, I think that Purdue's going to be better off. On paper, they look weaker, but I don't think that's the case. I think Purdue's going to surprise us. So, I definitely applaud Matt Painter for stepping up and talking about it. Because the fact is, most coaches won't say it because they don't want to alienate future recruits. But the reality is, have some loyalty. Michael Jordan, if he had to work his way into North Carolina's lineup under Dean Williams, would not have transferred out. He would have stayed in school and fought straight up. So definitely a sign of the quality of player that exists in college basketball today. Nothing we can do about that. We just have to learn how to handicap that and make sure that we're not taking advantage. All right, what's going on, Nick Nizzle? Thanks for coming in. Yeah, see, Christopher Reeves, I think that the issue really is, what does Wake Forest say? Coach Steve Forbes has already said that he's going to support the waiver, but that doesn't mean that he's actually going to do it. He could just be giving us some freaking bird talk, in one ear out the other, trying to fool us. But listen, until I see it, I have to assume that he's not going to be there, or I have to discount it a little bit. I feel also, years that Coach Calipari loses his point guard, usually there is an adjustment period. It happened when Ashton Higgins and Emmanuel Quickly were freshmen. So Kentucky's definitely going to have a harder time this year, in my opinion. The SEC has definitely rebounded. They could be 5 or 6 teams deep. And then teams like Missouri or Texas A&M could shock you if you don't bring your A game. And then also with so much youth, usually there's 1 or 2 holdovers that you can rely on to help at least get these guys acclimated to like Big Blue Nation mentality and how Big Blue Nation players roll. But I just don't see it this year. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Kentucky is definitely not on one of my high notes. All right, so I'm going to keep this a little quick. I just want to give you a little bit of Canadian homerism. 4 recruits that are coming out of my wonderful country, and just want to talk a little bit about them and what I see them being able to contribute. So first off, there is Josh Primo, definitely going to be a 2021 NBA draft pick. This is a very, very sound basketball player. He is a very adequate ball handler. He can play alongside other guards and allow the defense to choose who they're going to try and isolate. he's definitely a guy that um, I don't he's improved every step of the way, whether it be for Canadian basketball, whether it be for prep ball, whether it be on any kind of circuit series. He's done a really good job. I think that this is a guy that has great playmaking ability. He can shoot the basketball. Playing on the Canadian national team gives him an experience of extreme competition and pride. And when you watch Josh Primo play for Team Canada, he's a guy that plays on both ends of the floor, and he understands what it is to not fall into a rut, what it is to make sure that you're taking good shots, how it is to facilitate the offense, get guys involved. And I think in Coach Oates' situation and system at Alabama, he's going to be able to flourish. I think that he is going to challenge Javon Quinterly for minutes. I think that he is going to win that battle, and I look forward to watching Josh Primo in a Roll Tide uniform. I may become a little bit of an Alabama basketball fan. Another guy that I'm going to talk about is a dude that's going to be going to Clemson. He's obviously a Frenchman, so I have a little bit of bias towards him because I love my Ontario guys. But Olivier Maxence Prosper is definitely a guy that has built a reputation amongst college scouts, NBA scouts. This is a guy that can dunk like Jordan. I watched a video today of him running with that free throw line dunk, and it was quite savage. This is a guy that I think that handles the ball well enough to finish and to start a fast break. He creates his own one-on-one opportunities off the dribble, and I think that when you look at his mid-range jump shot, it is definitely adequate. It can use some improvement, definitely from the left side, but from the right side, he's a lot more efficient with it. I do have an area of concern with his three-point shooting. It is more of a step-back type of shot, and that shot can be easily you can easily get a hand in the face and alter that and close out on a shooter like that. But his ability to use his length to reach and deflect shots, to really be a pest in the passing lanes, is going to make him a real nice 3-and-D player at the college level. And of course, as a Canadian, he's coming in well worked with a nice freaking developed body at 205 pounds. And I think that with his size of 6'7", he's going to challenge Johnny Newman for minutes. It's just about how quick he adapts to the speed and to the strength of the college competition. But I do think that he is well prepared to do so. And Coach Brad Brownell has definitely got a guy that resembles old Clemson Tiger KJ Daniels or Jared Blossom game. So this is a guy with pro potential. I think that he is going to have a significant and immediate impact for the Clemson Tigers this year with a much improved roster. This next player is obviously going to be a little bit of a homer type player for me because I do love UConn, and I do love this kid, Javonte Brown Ferguson. So what I love about Javonte Brown Ferguson is this is a kid that is just big, and he's going to develop. He jumps. He can knock down open jump shots. He can hit it from distance. And his length allows him to really be a significant deterrent inside for guys that want to penetrate. The one issue is he definitely needs to get stronger, but he is a Thornley alumni. So as someone that went to Thornley, even though I got kicked out of there, I definitely have a little bit of a soft spot. And of course, he's going to UConn. So I think that with him and Adam Sanoga and then Josh Carlton and then a Cook when he gets back from injury, I think that he is going to be a very nice pickup. And I think that it may take him till conference season to get up to speed. But I do think that by Big East season time, Javonte Brown Ferguson will be playing some significant minutes for UConn. And it's just going to be a matter of, does he have the stamina to run the floor and really play well in this up-tempo offense that we're going to see. I think that with his perimeter shot, he's going to provide a lot of opportunity for his teammates to drive and penetrate the lane. And with RJ Cole and Book, I think that's going to be freaking golden for them. So look forward to seeing the Thornley alum come in and play for my Yukon Huskies. And then the last guy I'll talk about is Matthew Alexander Moncrief out of Oklahoma State. This is a guy that definitely wowed a lot of people that have watched him play. I would definitely compare him to someone like Will Barton. Good length, good wingspan, can really close out on a defender, really can use his athleticism to shift side to side. And the fact is, he is definitely a guy that's emerging. I think that the scoring prowess, taking the ball to the basket and using his strength to score in the lane is definitely key. He has the athleticism and he showed it. And the good thing about it is he's going to fly under the radar on an Oklahoma State team that they don't have that high expectations for, but if he gets a little more polished as a distance shooter or a mid-range shooter, I think that he's going to be fantastic. Great ball handling abilities, plays both ends of the floor, has all the tools to really be one of the top defenders in the Big 12, and definitely amongst freshmen, that's for sure. So definitely have a look at him. He's a Vaughan, Ontario guy, so Vaughan secondary. Shout out to my guy Matt Mado. That's his school, Vaughan. I want to go there, but yeah, that's another story for another day. But yeah, it's just showing that Ontario specifically is a college basketball factory. If you know someone that's recruiting, if you know a coach, if you know anybody in the business, just let them know. We got lots of guys ready to go. Just come up, take a look, and pick out what you want to bring back down south. So Canadian basketball at a collegiate level has never been at its highest, and I look forward to seeing this next class of the 2020-2021 recruits coming on in. All right, that is it for me. Appreciate the view, appreciate the comments, and I'll be back tomorrow to do this all over again. So it's your boy Maxwell Smart doing your daily college basketball news update show, and I'm out of here. So let's end this broadcast.